The Bolan Reign of Terror. For centuries, the Bolan Empire had brutally enslaved billions across the galaxy. They tortured and slaughtered any who defied them, with no other race daring to challenge their reign of terror. Led by the cunning and merciless Emperor Fornax, the Bolans swiftly crushed even the faintest hint of rebellion. Civilizations that took millennia to rise were reduced to ashes in mere days by Bolan armadas. Survivors of their onslaught were enslaved, their lives forever bound in service to the Bolan Empire. Hope was a forgotten dream until chance brought Captain Emma Grayson, a human pilot, to the fringes of Zyran space. Emma, the captain of the advanced scout ship Defiant, was on a routine patrol when her sensors picked up a distress signal. A Zyran transport was under heavy assault by Bolan warships, pleading for anyone to save them. High Command had standing orders not to engage Bolan forces under any circumstances, as the fledgling human alliance was not yet strong enough to risk open war with the Empire. But Emma could not ignore the cries of innocent lives in mortal peril. Disobeying direct orders, she flew the Defiant into the heart of the battle, dodging volleys of superheated plasma as her small human ship weaved between the hulking Bolan vessels with preternatural agility. In a daring display of unorthodox tactics and human daring, Emma unleashed a salvo of graviton torpedoes. The Defiant's prototype weapons ripped through the Bolan shields like paper, smashing their plasma arrays and singularity drives. The Zyran refugees could scarcely believe their eyes as they watched the Bolan ships veer off, trailing debris and escape pods. It had been generations since anyone defied the Bolans and lived, yet this unknown species had risked everything to save strangers without hesitation. A spark of hope. Aboard the Defiant, the Zyran spoke of a secret network of rebels fighting to overthrow Emperor Fornax's brutal rule. They shared hidden weaknesses in Bolan shields and critical intelligence that could turn the tide against the Empire. As news spread of a human standing up to the Bolans, a spark of hope returned to the oppressed and enslaved across the stars. Emma knew the Empire would never allow such defiance to go unpunished. The wrath of Emperor Fornax would descend upon humanity without mercy. Racing back to the Human Alliance headquarters on Earth, Emma implored the leadership to support the rebel network, arguing that they could not abandon the other races to Bolan cruelty. Many feared what would happen if they provoked the Empire, so far beyond their current strength. Yet Emma and other captains refused to back down. Humans had a duty to forge a free future for all, and they would not be the only ones fighting. As the Alliance marshaled its forces and made contact with rebel cells, Emperor Fornax raged in his onyx throne room upon learning of the upstart humans interfering with his rule. He vowed to raze their worlds to cinders and process their entire species into mindless cyber thralls. The Bolans would make humanity an example to remind the galaxy why none dared defy them. The human intervention had set in motion a battle that would consume the stars, a desperate struggle to break the chains of oppression and end the Bolan Empire's stranglehold over the galaxy. The First Strike. For the first time in eons, the Bolans faced a dire threat. An alliance of races remembered what it was to hope and would fight to the bitter end for freedom. At the forefront flew the gleaming silver ships of the Human Alliance, united in their resolve to stand against tyranny no matter the cost. The terror of the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to face the indomitable human spirit. Emma and the Human Alliance struck back against the Bolan Empire with a fury never before witnessed in the galaxy. Human ships, sleek and silver, darted through the void of space, picking apart Bolan outposts and supply lines with tactical precision. The Bolans, for all their advanced technology, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn by the ingenuity and daring of human pilots. Emma led the charge, orchestrating hit-and-run attacks that left the Bolans reeling. But she knew that true victory would only come by breaking the chains of oppression that bound so many under Bolan rule. With a hand-picked team of her best fighters, Emma set her sights on a heavily fortified labor camp deep in Zyran space. The camp was a nightmare made manifest, where Zyran slaves toiled endlessly under the cruel watch of their Bolan overseers. But Emma and her team struck like lightning, catching the guards off balance. Plasma fire lit up the night as the humans fought their way into the heart of the camp, freeing every slave they found. As word spread of their audacious raid, uprisings and sabotage against the Bolans erupted across the star systems. The Empire strikes back. Emperor Fornax's rage shook the very foundations of his palace when news of the human exploits reached him. He would not tolerate this defiance, this challenge to his absolute rule. With a snarl, he ordered a massive counterattack against the human alliance, unleashing the full might of the Bolan war machine. At the vanguard of this assault was a weapon so terrifying, so devastating, that it had broken the will of countless races before. A planet-killer ship capable of reducing entire worlds to rubble in the blink of an eye. Emma knew that if this monstrosity reached Alliance space, it would spell the end of everything they had fought for. In a daring plan, she led a small squad on an infiltration mission into the very heart of the planet killer. It was a battle fought on a knife's edge as Emma and her team cut their way through hordes of elite Bolan warriors, each step bringing them closer to the ship's core. In a final, desperate act, Emma sacrificed her own ship, ramming it into the planet killer's power chamber. The explosion was cataclysmic, a supernova of light and fury that consumed the planet killer from within. As Emma barely escaped the conflagration, the loss of their ultimate weapon sent shockwaves through the Bolan ranks. Emboldened by this victory, more and more subjugated races flocked to the rebel cause. Emma worked tirelessly to unite these disparate factions, sharing human tactics and technology to level the playing field against the Bolans. Together, they began to systematically target Bolan strongholds and infrastructure, chipping away at the Empire's grip on the galaxy. A final gambit. Emperor Fornax, his rule crumbling around him, made a final desperate play. Recalling all his forces to the Bolan homeworld, he prepared for a last stand against the Rebel Alliance. The stage was set for a confrontation that would decide the hope of the universe. Emma led the Allied fleet in an all-out assault on the heavily defended Bolan planet, facing the full might of Fornax's military. As the battle raged in the skies above, Emma and her squadron of human and ally pilots punched through the Bolan defenses, engaging in intense dogfights with Fornax's elite guard. Laser fire crisscrossed the sky, ships exploding into fireballs as the two sides clashed. Even in the chaos of battle, Emma's mind was racing. A message had come through from a faction of Bolans, disillusioned with Fornax's tyrannical rule. They were willing to turn against the Emperor for a price. As explosions rocked her ship and alarms blared in her ears, Emma grappled with the weight of the decision before her. To trust these Bolan defectors could divide her allies, sowing discord at the most critical moment. But to refuse their aid could mean a prolonged war and countless more lives lost. It was a choice that would shape the future of the galaxy. With a deep breath, Emma made her choice. "Jake, I need you for a special mission," she called over the comm. Jake's voice crackled back. "What's the plan, boss?" "We're going to negotiate with the Bolan defectors. It's risky, but it may be our only shot. Take your stealth ship and rendezvous with them on the far moon. Be careful." The turning point. Jake's sleek black ship slipped away from the main fleet, its cloaking device engaged. He threaded through the debris field of destroyed vessels, dodging stray weapons fire. The small craft touched down on a crater-pocked lunar surface. 3 hooded figures emerged from the shadows. Jake stepped out, hand on his sidearm. "I'm here on behalf of the Human Alliance." The lead Bolan pulled back his hood. "We've been expecting you. Emperor Fornax has gone mad with power. His actions will destroy us all if left unchecked." Jake listened intently as they revealed Fornax's secret superweapon. His blood ran cold at the description of its planet-shattering capabilities. "We must act quickly," the Bolan urged. "Fornax plans to use it against your fleet any moment now." Jake raced back to his ship, transmitting as he flew. "Emma, you're not going to believe this." Emma's face was grim as she absorbed the intel. She gathered her top commanders, laying out a daring infiltration plan. "It's our only shot," she concluded. "We go in hard and fast while the battle rages as cover." Their dropship screamed through the atmosphere, anti-aircraft fire exploding around them. They hit the ground running, Emma in the lead. Bolin turncoats had provided access codes to bypass the initial security, but as they pushed deeper into the facility, they encountered fierce resistance. Fornax's Praetorian Guard swarmed from all directions, their armor gleaming in the flashing red emergency lights. Emma ducked behind a pillar as plasma bolts sizzled past. She popped out to return fire, downing 2 guards, but more kept coming. "Push forward," she yelled over the din of battle. They fought room by room, corridor by corridor. Emma watched in anguish as good soldiers fell, but they had to keep moving. Finally, they reached the central chamber. The reactor core pulsed with otherworldly energy, and there stood Emperor Fornax, resplendent in ornate battle armor. The final battle. "Fools," he sneered. "Did you really think you could stop me? With the press of a button, I'll wipe your pathetic fleet from existence." Emma raised her weapon. "Not if we have anything to say about it." The 2 forces clashed in furious combat. Fornax's guards were fearsome, but Emma's team fought with the desperation of those with everything to lose. One of the Bolin defectors crumpled under a barrage of fire, but his sacrifice created an opening. Emma sprinted for the reactor controls. Fornax lunged to stop her, but she was faster. With a final, desperate push, Emma reached the controls and activated the self-destruct sequence. The reactor began to overload, its energy building to a cataclysmic crescendo. Fornax roared in fury, but it was too late. Emma and her team raced for the exit, barely escaping as the facility erupted in a blinding explosion. The shockwave rippled through space, a beacon of hope to all who had suffered under Bolin tyranny. As the Allied fleet regrouped, the news spread like wildfire. Emperor Fornax was dead, and the Bolin Empire was in disarray. Across the galaxy, oppressed races rose up, seizing their chance for freedom. The Human Alliance, now bolstered by countless new allies, prepared to usher in a new era of peace and cooperation. Emma stood on the bridge of the Defiant, looking out at the stars. The battle was won, but the real work was just beginning. Together, they would rebuild what the Bolins had destroyed. Together, they would create a future where no one lived in fear. And together, they would ensure that the terror of the galaxy would never rise again.